All right, we're live. Yay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Morning, James and Teresa. I don't know if we've got anybody else on, but because right now it's saying 0 people watching. Can't trust anything anymore. But it is Friday, fabulous Friday. And actually, there's a delay. I don't know if you guys can see us yet because I'm looking at my iPad and it hasn't kicked in yet. Weird or what? Anyway,
there Can you refresh your iPad?
It's switching over. It's a longer delay than I expected. But good morning, everybody. And interesting topic. And this one was born out of Monday's conversation. Well, actually, no, it was Sunday, right, Sandy, when we were together. And then on Monday, I had a little bit of a rough day because I was like, I just need to know, when is this over? When is this fucking over? I can't take it anymore. One of those days. All right. So you guys all know. We were watching, we watched a couple of things that day. Oh, one of those days. There we go. Turn that off. You don't need to hear me twice. And we were watching the history of the world. And we watched also Linda Good. And it just popped into my mind. You know what? All this, we need to know. When's it going to be over? When's this going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. And then guess what? It was brilliant because it hit me like a ton of bricks on Monday, which I think probably because I put it out there. And to be able to feel it, like what so many of us are going through, right? On a really visceral level that is like, this world is shit, and when is this crap going to be over? And that needing to know actually hurts us. It can.
It's interesting that you say that you're putting it out there and it's come back, because that's happened to you on a few occasions. You'll put things out there and it comes back for you to deal with. Yep. So what do we need to know is the question. So I'm not of the opinion that what a lot of people want to know about what's happening in the 3D plane. It's not that I don't care. I do care, but it's not a priority for me. And it's interesting. So what we want to know is all subjective to who we are, where we are in our path right now, or our journey. What do we want to know? Do we want to know for reasons of justice to see what's going on in the world? Or do we want to know about information that leads us more to who we really are? So it's all subjective, the needing to know. So, I'm a firm believer, even when we know, they're not going to tell us the truth about everything. And I'm not putting that out there. It's going to take a while for all this information to come out. So what is it we need to know? And that's what I'm finding interesting, because I'm watching the floods happening globally right now. I just posted some more on Telegram, different footage. I don't know if it's the same location as other areas in China. I'm watching what's going on in France and the protests that are happening in France. And I'm hearing different things about Mexico. I'm just hearing different things are going on globally. Well, all this goes on. What do we need to know? We know we're fed up with the lies. We know we're fed up with the deception. We know that they're losing their crap right now because they are trying so hard to make us all be distracted by as much insanity as they can put forth, so we don't see the lengths they've gone to lie and manipulate. So my understanding is in Arizona, the audits have been done and they know that the election was stolen there. I'm hearing it's in Georgia and Pennsylvania. They've done a small section of checking the audits. It's all the same stuff. So now they want to change the batteries in the Dominion voting machines, because if you change the batteries, you reset, so they can't get all the information out of it. Like, these people don't stop. That's what people do not understand about sociopathic and psychopathic people. There's nothing they won't do. They're not going to stop until they're 6 feet under or whatever happens to them, right? So what do we need to know?
Yeah, and I actually honestly believe we need to know what's going on around the world, but at the same time, I think it's that letting go of the timelines. It's that letting go of the anticipation, because that is what causes all the stress. It's like, well, is it going to happen tomorrow? Well, so-and-so said it was going to happen on this day, and then it doesn't, and then I get so depressed, and then da. And I mean, for me, it was about some other things. It wasn't about any of those dates. It was more along the lines of, you know, a lot of personal stuff going on. And it's like, I just need this fucking stuff over. When is it going to be over? And, you know, it wasn't about.
You don't need it over. Like none of us need it over per se, but it's a great distraction to take us away from what's going on personally.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, how long do we want to live like this? You go out and, you know, the beauty is in Ontario, it's, our emergency is over. I think we mentioned that. Yes. But I actually, to the small mom and pop shops, because I realized that for the big grocery chains and stuff like that, they're not going to do anything with it. But for the smaller shops, I actually have a pile of a printout of that page where it sells them. And I handed over and I'm like, hey, did you know that this was revoked? I just found out last week. It's funny they didn't tell anybody, but here it is. And the website's at the bottom. Go look it up yourself. And it's getting that just, and the guy I did give
on the Government of Ontario website, right? That where they've announced that they have revoked the Emergency Measures Act, but they haven't told anybody publicly. It's on the website, but it's not in the media.
Yes, exactly. And so people aren't aware. And it's funny because I talked to you about this yesterday. A friend I haven't talked to in quite a while reached out and I told him about it. Lives here in Ontario too. And Mom, continued on in the regular conversation, talked about and I said, it's not what the V word, it's gene modification therapy. And it was Mom again. I was like, people just don't want to hear.
They don't want to hear it. So
it's really interesting. People don't want to know the truth. People don't want to know what's really going on. Happy to live in their little bubbles.
Do you know what? That's whatever's happening globally and whatever's happening on the planet is. So we've got the floods we've talked about. We've got earthquakes. I hear Mount Shasta is starting to. There's activity around Mount Shasta that we know the volcano is going to blow, or not blow, but spew something, to whatever degree there.
Right.
But there's going to be something. I'm not going to say cataclysmic, but something that's going to happen on a grand scale that people are going to have no choice but to wake up. And as wondering about
everybody isn't going to wake up. There are people, and I think quite a few people who are going to hold on to their delusions.
And I think the planet is waking up, and I think Mother Earth is waking up. So a number of years ago, I had a dream, and in the dream, I was flying, like just in my body. I was flying over a river, and I went up to a waterfall. And as I'm flying up to the waterfall, and I'm looking and thinking, it wasn't very high, maybe I don't know if it'd be like 6 or 8 feet high, and kind of tumbled down, you know, a few layers. Anyways, and I'm looking at the land, and all of a sudden water is gushing up out of the land, and it's instantly freezing. And I'm like, ooh, this can't be good. So some of us are under the impression we're coming into an ice age. But I was telling somebody about this yesterday, and she goes, "Did you ever watch the Disney movie Frozen?" And I said, "No." She goes, "That's exactly what happens in Frozen." So we're having these little premonitions, these little things that are coming up that, you know, some insights as to what is going to happen on the planet. These things are going to happen. People, it doesn't matter if they wake up or not. Who cares? I'm to the point. I don't care if they wake up or don't. That's their choice, their journey. But what I'm saying is there's going to be something that happens, I think, on the planet that people are they're going to have to start questioning things because they sure aren't going to get it with the news and what they're listening to now. I don't know. That's just kind of what comes up for me.
I hear you. And we've got, who is it? Lori says the earth is angry. Hi, Lori. Hi, Amber. I think I said hi to Teresa. Dave has joined us too.
Hello, everyone.
And
the earth is angry, totally, Lori. And she has every right to be because she's been poisoned. And I know some people say, well, we've let it happen. I'm not of that opinion because not all of us have let this happen. There's some people who've gone out of their way to poison earth. Someone had recently posted all the Indian reserves, the First Nations Indian reserves, who had boil water advisories in the different years. This thing was like 2 pages long. So it's intentional that our waters are being poisoned. It's intentional that the ships out in BC, the ferries that run between Victoria and Vancouver Island and all the different Gulf Islands, they don't have septic in their boats. So all the raw sewage just goes into the ocean. This is all intentional. by a certain number of people. They say raw sewage is going into the St. Lawrence. We know Flint, Michigan, they intentionally messed up the water so that people don't have clean drinking water. This is intentional by a few people or their minions, the people who work within those water works or what have you, the shipping with the ferries. It's intentional. So when we start to see that, we realize Earth is angry, but it's not all of us who've caused this. I don't litter. I don't. Do you know what I mean? I use that natural cleaning products, so I don't even have harmful chemicals in my cleaning products, like around the house, my dishwashing detergent, my laundry soaps, things like that. Like they're all harmful chemical free. So we all have choices in how we participate, right?
Absolutely. And I've always thought it was kind of strange that they say we're the ones who are at fault, where really it's those big corporations and all of their agendas and all the stuff that they're allowed to dump into the world are creating the issues. It's not humans on an individual level. We're like a small piece of the whole puzzle. It's these big guys. And so I remember when the carbon tax first came out here, and I'm like, that's just a cash grab. I said, what difference do we as individuals make when you're not actually clamping down on the people dumping all of their raw, not just the raw sewage, but raw materials? Why do we need gasoline? There's lots of free energy things out there. I remember reading Tesla, I think his nephew wrote a book, and I read it a few years ago where he talked about how he took him in a car from one part of the US. It was like hundreds of miles. And when they got into the car, I think they started in Rochester. He drove him to Rochester, New York, opened the hood of the car, put something in. This, I don't know, it was like these tubular things, and he changed something up. They drove for hundreds of miles from there and back. And he said, you will never need to change this for over 100 years. That's it. So, we look at it boggles my mind because they talk about clean energy, nuclear. It's not clean. It is not clean because you've got dirt, you got heavy water. What are you going to do with all that? It might be clean in our homes, but it's very dirty over there. And then we've got nuclear waste to get rid of. And then you look at even the electric cars. Why would we go electric cars? Those batteries only last maybe 5 years, and then they're filling up the landfill full of lithium and all kinds of other crap in there that is horrible for the environment. Why are we not talking about these things that they say are good that are really actually bad?
Yeah, I know. It's a distortion.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, none of this stuff is actually good. You just throw back the layers. I remember having an argument with somebody about the whole nuclear because they worked at a nuclear power plant. And I'm like, it's not clean. What do you do with the heavy water? How clean is that? How safe is that for us in our environment if anything was to happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
And so it's all been such a distortion. We've been lied to so much.
I like your comment. I'm of that opinion at different times. Some of these guys need to be taken out.
Sorry?
Right. So Dave made a comment that we could be at fault for not taking them out. Yes,
absolutely. But there's so few people who actually have that perspective of you're only looking at the front end, not the back end. And so what's the damage it's doing in the back end? Plus we've been really dumbed down.
Yeah. So we're talking today about needing to know. What do we need to know?
What do we need to know? We need to know ourselves, number one.
Yes.
And when we know ourselves, then all like the meltdown I had on Monday, it becomes fewer and far between. And not that it won't happen because life is life. But I like it when I can actually use, I go through the experience. So I'm no different than anybody else. We all go through it at different times.
We do, but we also have a responsibility of how far we let ourselves fall. And I'm going to use the word fall, not just whether it's the way we feel about things, because what is becoming more clear is the dark energies will attach themselves to people or your homes if you're down. And I can't remember, was you talking about the scutters, the black energy that you see that you look out of the corner of your eye and you think something's on your wall and you turn and you look at it with your direct vision and you don't see it, but in your peripheral vision, it's there. The dark energies are attracted to negative feelings. Dark energies are attracted to when people feel down on themselves or doubt themselves or don't feel worthy enough. These are the kind of feelings that attract the dark energies to us, and they are becoming desperate. So we want to make sure that we don't set ourselves up to a position that we fall with reckless abandon. So you can have a bad day. When I say you, I mean anybody, but we can have a bad day, but it doesn't mean that you let your energy, you let your energy fall away or your protection fall away. Right. So it's really important we know to do that.
So Jack is asking, why are we here at the individual level? Well, we all came here for a reason, Jack. And I think and especially at this time, like if we're here right now in this critical time on Earth, I think we all came here for, especially if you're awake, a mission. We have a purpose. We're here to actually help this process through on some level. Right. And that's...
So why are we here? So we ask that question. And what I like, Jack, when you're asking that question, you use your throat chakra and you ask yourself, show me, beloved creator, show me, why am I here? What am I here to do? How can I be of service to you, the creator energy? And when you start asking yourself the question and asking it out loud, that's when you're putting it in the consciousness field. And a lot of people are here looking for a destination. They want to know their purpose. And it's like, I'm kind of went at it this way too. It's not about that. It's about the process you take to finding yourself and finding what it is that makes you come alive, what it is that delights your mind, your heart, your soul. So a lot of the things that we're trying to figure out why we're here, it can still be coming from a left brain function of needing to know, instead of saying, what do I feel? So we're listening to Linda Good McGillis. She's of the opinion that there's going to be a lot of solar codes that come on in the month of July. And when she's saying is that our bodies are going to change as we become more crystalline and work our way out of the carbon body suit we have and more into the crystalline and align with that. She said, we're going to have aches and pains. She said, people are going to have acid reflux. People are going to find their joints all of a sudden start hurting. And I've experienced a bit of that this week. And I know other people have said, all of a sudden they're feeling aches and pains, but that's our body changing. So maybe we're here to go through the metamorphosis of becoming the, instead of the caterpillar, we're becoming the butterfly, but we can't rush this process and nobody can take the cocoon off of us because the butterfly will surely die. So we have to wait and just go through this process on our own. But isn't it neat to be curious about what it is we're going to learn about ourselves? So I'm excited about what we're going to learn. And it's going to be interesting because we have 2 weeks now that we will watch to see if these energies are coming on.
Yep.
And what we're going to know that we never knew. So I don't even know what I don't know.
Well, that's most of us. And I think it was great. I don't remember which video it was a recent one where she talked about this. She's got about 3 now, right? She has a 2-hour one that you were just watching that she did a couple days ago, which is a really good one because she actually tells you how to call in the light codes. And then she did 2 shorter ones where she talked about what was going to happen this month. And one of them, I can't remember which one, but she talked about, it was the long one where she talked about how you can see them.
Yeah, she's the green light. We're going to be able to see the light coming in. And who is it? What's her name? Gina Marie Colvin Hill. Was it you I was talking to, and she had weather cams on and she's watching the weather cams. You could see the plasma. And I've seen that before. If I go, there's a certain forest I walk in, and sometimes the trees, I'll just put my hand on the trees and I could see the plasma going past my eye. And I'm like, can we see plasma? But we're convinced we can't. And then when I turned and looked at it straight on, obviously it didn't, I couldn't see it anymore. So are we open to new and exciting things? Are we open to seeing things that maybe we haven't seen before? So these are what's really going to be impressive to watching what's happening, what's going on around us, what we see, what we believe. At one point in the video, she said you're going to see something and it's not going to be typical, but 3 seconds later, it's going to change. And 3 seconds later, it's going to change again and change again. And although I encourage everyone to watch that video or watch her videos, she said, when you have your eyes closed, you don't see some of this. So some of it might be an idea to keep your eyes closed just for some of it while this happens if you can't handle it.
Yeah. So I wanted to go, the point I wanted to make when I was talking about it, what she did say was even us who have been searching for the truth and think we know some of this truth, that we have to be open to being wrong again, because the true truth, because there is I know that there's some people out there say there's no such thing as truth. It's everybody's individual truth. That's not true. There actually is one universal truth. Yes, we all have our individual truths, but universal truth is very different. And there is a universal truth. And that, so as we go through this, we're going to find even the things that we thought were true as we're looking as truthers are going to be false, and to be okay with that. Because otherwise, again, you're going to have that whole tug of war of what you believe and what you don't believe, right?
And you might be at war with yourself because some of our preconceived notions we might find that they're not true. Are we going to lose our mind on ourselves about it, or what are we going to do, right? No. So he was talking about his knees hurting. So did it just happen, Joe, or have they been hurting for a while? So what else she's talking about? I don't want to oversimplify what her video was she's saying. But if people, so normally if I find people have pain in their legs or their lower extremities, some of that can be because they have unprocessed emotional pains and suffering that they need to clear out, or they have afraid of moving forward. So you want to go through and ask yourself or work with somebody and eliminate some of those reasons. And if it's just a new pain, ask yourself, why is it here? Is it part of the assimilation and the new energies that are coming in? Then ask yourself, what do you need to do for your knees? Ask your knees, what do you need from me? Talk as if you're your higher self.
And I think actually part of the pain that she talks about is our processing all of the pain and all of the things that we have blocked up. And these light codes are going to be showing them to us where we're blocked up. And that's where the pain and the cramping. Like I woke up this morning and I was like, oh my God, I feel like an old lady getting out of bed.
I was kind of slow yesterday. It felt awkward. Like it was not arthritis, but it was just awkward. And I'm not one to let that stop me. I'll just keep working through it. Right. And I'm just going to make sure. So if I'm feeling kind of stiff, then I stretch that. So this morning I stretched. So you start doing things that can take, like alleviate the physical symptoms. If you're not exercising or you're not moving the energy through your body by stretching, those things like that you could look at too, right?
And stretching is so important. I loved, I don't remember who I saw this, but animals, right? So if they experience something that they don't like, they shake it off, right? You've seen dogs and cats, they sniff something or rub against, they shake it off. We as humans, we don't. We don't shake off the whatever negative energy or whatever that we don't like. And stretching. Animals are constantly stretching. My little pup, she doesn't move from her thing until she gets a good long stretch in, does her downward dog.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, I'm ready for whatever's coming next.
And I stretch even in the morning when I put lotion on. I'll put my feet up on the counter, and it's great because you're stretching forward. Sometimes even the stairs, I will put one foot up like 3 or 4 steps up, and I just rock back and forth because I want the muscles to be stretched in length, not just in. Like some you can do some exercises where it's more like the stretching them on the outside or your outer thighs or your inner thighs, but you try to stretch them different ways, right?
Yeah, and it helps when you start doing that. It will also help with the intention of just releasing whatever is in there. So it was, who was it? It was Joe. Hi, Joe. You start to, with that intention to release whatever is blocked up in there, especially if these light codes are coming in. I think if our intentions are in the right place and realize that these things might be blockages, we can start to release them.
Right. But I want to also just add in there that it could be an emotional something that hasn't been dealt with in your past, that you still have to go back and look at those emotional sufferings without judging them. Just go in and just, this happened to me when I was 8 in gym class, whatever it is. It doesn't matter what the event is, but you have the right to release it from your body. And I know for sitting for long periods of time, right? Same thing, getting a good stretch in there. So what I do, because I'm on the computer more now, my arms are always forward. So I will put my arms in a door frame. I do this one very carefully, and I lean forward as much as I can to pull my shoulders back. Also great for opening the heart chakra. Here's a few things we can do for the heart chakra too, because of what's going to happen is more. Betty got a beautiful card today. I'll let her describe that. But as we're getting into more of opening up our heart and coming from our heart, if we've been closed off even physically, or you're working on a computer or you're driving all the time, what you can do is take a towel, one hand up, one hand down, and pull it behind you and start stretching your back. You can roll a towel up. It doesn't have to be a thick towel, and lay on it. So from your head all the way down to your tailbone, and lay in that towel and let your shoulders fall back. You don't want to do too much of this, right? Because it can be overwhelming. The other thing you can take is those exercise ropes. You know, when you stretch and pull up on those ropes, you can do the same. Pull that behind you, or do both arms behind you and open up your heart chakra. So there's things that we can do that can help us change the energy flow, like with the stretching, Tai Chi. What else is there? Like martial arts, any of those kind of behavior, any of those kind of disciplines.
Yeah, and Amber's talking about how time is going faster, and yes, it is. I actually watched somebody talking about that, and how sometime this month, I can't remember the day, and there was an expected like 2.7 something seconds faster. It's going to be the quickest day, or milliseconds or whatever it was. But yeah, there's actually a website, who knew, tracking the wobble of the earth supposedly, and how we're and I say supposedly because I don't know, and I'm okay with not knowing.
Oh, it's wobbling. I can feel it at times.
Yeah, but I think that's an energy wobble, and that's not necessarily like us getting. I'm not 100% convinced one way or the other about the round earth, flat earth. Like I said on the weekend, I said I think it's more like a donut if you think of how energy flows and but hey, listen, I don't know, and I'm okay with it. That's just my opinion for today, and I'm okay with it changing tomorrow.
I can feel the energy, earth energy is changing. I'm walking, all of a sudden I think, why does my foot move there and not where it was supposed to go? It doesn't mean it's a big misstep, but it's just a little awkward, right?
No, but we've talked about it before. I truly believe that Gaia, Sophia, earth energy, our mother is actually she's woken up, and she's pissed. Like they said, she's pissed about what's happened, and she's actually shaking it. You look at the earthquakes, the volcanoes going on all over the world, the flooding, washing, and like everywhere around the world, there's something happening, and that's, guess what? That's her rising up, saying, "I ain't taking this anymore. We're cleaning house," and so that can create that wobble feeling as well. Plus, I think part of this feeling like time is going faster is actually to help us get through this to some extent, right? So you're not like stuck in one place for long. If we can learn how to move through them, you can still be. I think it's helping us, like, it's the energy is moving faster, so you can actually move faster through things.
Look at when you look at what have I got here? The light spectrum, and you look at the chakras and how they speed up. I don't know if I have this available handy or not, but you look at how fast the light's going. It's moving even faster for us now than it ever has.
Ever.
Yeah. It's also going into the purple, the higher consciousness. I don't know if I could have it handy or not.
But another amazing thing, and I've said this many times, is grounding. And Linda talks about it too. She said a lot of the other stuff, like the praying, meditation, isn't as important right now as the grounding.
Totally.
The grounding is the critical piece right now to keep us, marching forward. Go ahead.
Just finish off. So look at the light. So the red chakra, the root chakra, moves slower than the orange, then the yellow, and it all starts speeding up. We're spending more time in these higher colors right now. So it's normal what we're going through, but we're not used to being able to do it in real time and feel it happening, because the shifts are happening so fast. So that's what I see is happening, the energy. And when we're in those higher chakras, the higher energy, the mental energy, the consciousness energy, we're going to start changing how we think. We're going to change what we think. I believe we are going to be we're going to know things that we didn't know we knew. And when we figure this out with these new codes coming in, we're going to go, I knew that. But It's like, of course we knew that, but we all forgot, which was all part of the dumbing down, right? But do you want to go back to grounding? Do you know, so I agree with the grounding too. And it's interesting because I had a couple anklets made a couple years ago. I forgot to even bring them down. But sometimes I will put crystals on my ankles. So you can use crystals like hematite, which is the magnetic crystals, also keeps you grounded to the ground. I think I have coral in there. I have lava beads. I'm trying to think of what else is in there. Maybe red jasper is in there. So you can wear crystals on your ankles. You can also put crystals in your pockets. One meditation that I saw was to ground, was the person would envision themselves from their heart chakra and think of the chakras, and then they would put their energy down their body, down their legs as if they're putting all of their energy intentionally with their hands into the ground and connecting themselves. So there's so many ways that we can ground. Essential oils you can ground. We've talked about that. I sometimes will pretend if I'm really high, I pretend that I've got magnets on my feet and I'll take a step as if I've got a magnet attached to my foot. I only have to take about 6 steps and I'm back down again.
Yeah, I like to picture my feet growing roots into the ground,
right?
And that way you're really nice and anchored. Because if you look at a tree, which we love our trees. I love looking at, because the ones I have here, I've got some really nice big trees, and that you can see some part of the root system above the ground and how it actually goes back in and
spreads out.
And I just kind of picture that, and it's like you're going in and going deep. And when you're in trees, so if we're, I think JCK said they call us walking trees, and tree roots are connected to everything, right? Once they go deep, they're strong. It's those big, huge, hundreds of years old trees. And so when you meditate, they send messages throughout the earth. And when you're putting love into a tree, it can send it all throughout the earth. So that's what I picture is like, we're putting that in, and I am not only taking, but giving the love or the peace or the joy or whatever I felt like I needed at that time to have that interplay, not just taking, but also giving back. Yeah. Right. It's this back and forth, because that's
that's the back and forth of energy that we should be doing. Right. But I find people are off balance too, in the way that some people give more than they should. Some people take more than they should, but it is definitely a balance of give and take. Some people feel they're not worthy, so they keep giving so people don't realize they can't receive. They've got a block to receiving. Yep. So that's really a good point that you're making there about the balance of give and take. I was working with somebody yesterday, and some of us have had really crappy things happen within families. It's life. And maybe it's in your past, and maybe it's not a family. Maybe it's an education or an institution like a religion. And so it came up a couple of times, and I had said, when she was angry, but she wouldn't give herself permission to express her anger. And it's kind of funny because Linda was talking about taking a knife to pillows and really getting your anger out. And I had said some things that she had told me her family had done, and I didn't pull any punches. I wasn't like really strong about it, but I'm like, your family did this, this, and this to you. This is bullshit. Like, they were abusive to you. And I know you don't like to think you come from an abusive family, but this is not okay. And then she pulled out some papers and said, I wrote this out about 3 or 4 years ago when I was taking some therapy. And she goes, these are the things my family did, but it's coming up again. And I'm like, it's okay. It's coming up because now more of our chakras are opening up. More of our dimensions are coming in. Maybe you need to clear it out on a dimension you don't know about yet.
Yeah. So and like you got to feel it to heal it. And that includes anger. Anger isn't, and she was saying, anger isn't a bad emotion. Yeah. We put labels on these things like it's bad, but
you don't. Mental health does. Mental health says anger is a bad thing. And when I show
families tell you the same thing. I think she talks about how, you don't want to be angry. I think somebody on the chat there was talking about how she does it to her own children. So it's not just institutions, it's also family. It's like,
I wasn't trying to say just one area, but it's different for everybody. But it's usually somebody that they come out as a professional has labeled it that it's bad. So she's coming out and saying she did it and didn't realize it was not the right thing to do down the road, that she shaped her children in a way that maybe she shouldn't have. But what I'm saying is that the so-called experts say anger, you've got anger issues. So if you speak up about something, you must be dealing with anger. You've got the issue. It's your problem. So it keeps people blaming the people who were victimized maybe or perpetrated against. So, but anger vibrates higher than fear. So if you're going to feel anything, and your choice is fear and anger, get pissed off, because it's going to raise your vibration and it's going to put you into action, because anger sometimes gets you to take the next step, providing that you've cleaned it out and you're not going to hurt anybody, because that's not going to do you any good or the other person any good, right?
Yes. And mental health actually also talks, it's a lot of suppression of those emotions instead of the feel it to heal it. And I love how when she talked about how, she had issues to deal with and with anger, and she went through many pillows, stabbing them, getting all the rage out. Right?
It's interesting because I made a comment yesterday about punching the shit out of somebody, punching their fucking lights out. And this person looked at me and I'm like, I'm not going to do it. But there's times where you get that angry. Why should we not be angry at the politicians who are trying to kill you? Why should you not be angry at the experts in the medical profession who are lying, trying to kill you? Why shouldn't you be angry? But you can't take a physical stance. And I'm not saying to do it, but just to the point that when people know that you're going to you're going to turn their lights out on them, that's usually when they stop, because sometimes that's the only catalyst that'll make them stop continuing to hurt you. Otherwise, there's no consequences for them.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what's going to happen if this is true about the tribunals. Like, they basically are going to take these people out because that's the only thing that's going to stop them.
Yes.
Is a consequence of a definitive answer. And I'm not saying I want to see anybody dead. It's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying sometimes you don't have a choice with some of these people. They're going to keep coming at you. So it's going to be interesting to see if all the stuff comes out about the audits, what lengths they're going to go to hurt people, to cause a distraction or a false flag event so that nobody can see what's really going on with the audits. And it's like, seriously, all this so that you could steal an election? Seriously?
Yes. And it's, it's ripping the fabric of democracy by learning the truth. I find that absolutely hilarious. It's like, really? Do you even know what you're talking about?
They do know what they're talking about. It's the shaming and trying to confuse and dupe us, right?
It's the gaslighting, because it's like, oh, wouldn't that mean we would want to know the truth? If it was such an honest election, then you should be able to lay it out flat so we can all see it. It's a gaslighting attempt. But I actually want to bring up the card that I pulled for today, just before we came on. And it is peace. I don't know if you can see it there. I think you can. I am a being of love, and I release all negative energies, which I think is right along the lines of what we're talking about. And this whole, if I want to circle back, sorry, you didn't even laugh, Sandy. Come on.
Sorry, I was thinking about something I was trying to pull out there.
Circle back to the needing to know is we need to find peace in where we're at, and that we don't actually have all the answers to the outcome, but we can just go with it.
Right.
We have to go with the flow. We have to keep in our mind what we want, because we are manifestors. And so while we manifest, we're going to manifest the best, not wallow in the today. And it's going to happen. It happens to all of us.
Wallow, just don't do it for long.
Yes. And that goes into what Patty and I talked about too, is if you do find that you are in a negative space, reach out to somebody who you can talk to that will help you get out of that negative space.
And you know what? I know myself well enough. If somebody said to me, Sandy, I'm having a real bad day, and they just start pouring everything out, I know myself well enough. I would say, wait a minute, I'm not in the frame of mind to help you today.
Yeah.
I can hear a little bit, and I can help give you some pointers, but I can't hear this today. I'm just not there. I've got my own things I'm clearing out or whatever. So it's really important if somebody reaches out, know if you're in a space that you can help them, or if you're in a space that you can't help them that day, that you've got your own things. And then that way you become even more trustworthy, because whoever comes to you will know that that person's going to be honest with me. Sandy's going to be honest with me, and she's going to say when she can be here and when she can't. It's really important that we know that, because when we're starting to pile our stuff onto ourselves and we want to unload it, sometimes we vent, but that other person isn't in a place that they can hold space for you that day. So you can ask them too, do you mind if I just give you 2 minutes? I just need to get this off my chest. So I have a teddy bear. When I was doing Reiki, I was practicing doing the remote. So I did it on a teddy bear. Sometimes I sit and talk to my teddy bear, and I'm just like, done. Doesn't matter what you do. You talk to crystals, you can do the same thing, right? I love this chart. I know we've talked about it, but look at how high peace vibrates at 600. Why that is so important is that feeling of peace, because when we're going to start bringing in things and we're going to hold space for what insanity is going to come out, that is a great vibration to be in. You're not putting any judgment on anything. You're just feeling that peace.
Yeah.
And what does peace feel like? This is a great question to ask too. What does peace feel like? Does anyone have words that they want to put toward peace? Because if you want to be able to feel more peace, you have to be able to express what does peace mean to you. And when you can put words to it, because your beautiful throat is starting to share your truth and what you're feeling right then, and when you can start putting words to what peace feels like, then you can bring more of it in. So what does peace feel like? I'll go first. Calming. Peace is very calming. So what are some other words that people use for the word peace? You can do this with unconditional love. You can do this with harmony. What does harmony feel like? What does joy feel like? What does enlightenment feel like? And when you start bringing attention to it, that's when you're going to bring more of it on for yourself. And you're going to be able to stay in that because you're going to be able to articulate to yourself. You don't even have to share this with others.
Yeah. Because I actually think, for me, it's like, it's that calm, but it's almost like you're in a bubble of like joy and love, but it's like all like, it's soft. It's like a soft, comfortable energy, like being in, in something cozy and comfy, and it's cold outside and you're all like, that feeling. Oh yeah, everything is good.
And it's different for everybody, right? Yeah. So there's no right or wrong to what words we're using to describe it, but everybody feels it in a different way. Some people might feel peace means security for them. What does security feel like? And this is a great exercise to walk through. And I've done this with people before. What does that feel like? 2 words. And then they have to go inside and go, well, so what does unconditional love feel like? Safety. It feels warm.
Yeah.
And then you go, what does safety feel like? Secure, connected. What does secure feel like? And you start working your way through the energies. So normally I don't share this process like outside of my practice, but when you start working through and you start feeling these words, what does this feel like? What does feeling feel like? And because we're not taught to be in touch with our feelings, and as we start to do this with the higher energies, then we're bringing more of that, or surrounding it around ourselves and not going, because a lot of people talk about love. They talk a good game about love, but they're terrified of love.
Yes.
And a lot of people give so much because they're terrified of receiving. I've seen people receive and they cry because they're overwhelmed with receiving love.
Yeah.
But they don't know how to handle it. I've seen people push people away because they don't know how to receive love.
Yes. Right? Yeah, no, I've seen all of those. And I love that, realizing what things feel like. And it made me think of, I see kids today, like, teenagers, where they don't know how to express their feelings. They feel something. So I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm depressed, whatever, but they couldn't tell you why. And they couldn't tell you exactly. And I've had these conversations, because I'm surrounded by, families and things. So you meet lots of kids, and it's interesting because when you try to dig, they can't give you. It's like they're blocked off. It's just, I feel this way. That's it. Okay, there's got to be something.
What's the catalyst that blocked them? And I
no. But I'm just saying it's kind of like I think it very much in this generation.
I think it's the adults today too. I know a lot of people that even older than me, younger than me, they don't know how to articulate their feelings. I had somebody tell me one time they were feeling sad, and I was clearing out sadness out of their emotions. And the way they responded was just terror in their like the sounds that came out of her throat. And I'm thinking, my neighbors are going to think I'm killing somebody in here, right? And I asked her later, I said, you had said you felt sadness, but that was terror. And she goes, I was told I didn't know how to, I don't know what emotions feel like. So she had gone in for some support. I don't know, it was a mental health facility or whatever, but they had given her a sheet and said, this is what these emotions feel like. So she had to go and teach herself what emotions were again. Yeah. Because she never got taught as a child. And it's interesting. I was speaking with somebody this morning. She's from the States and she's from Colombia. Beautiful, beautiful woman. And we were talking about how hard some of the North American women are. And I've worked with a lot of men who say they prefer like South American women or Asian women because they have a more feminine approach. They can feel love. They can receive. They've got the feminine side down. But in North America, we're taught, go for the money. She was very surprised when she said she moved here that how masculine the women were. Mm-hmm. But masculine energy is giving energy. It's not receiving. How many women give and can't receive, but they won't say they can't receive. They just say so-and-so is an asshat or whatever, right? They blame the other person for their inability to open up. So... And it's
Teresa said she couldn't, and I'll be honest, I couldn't explain my feelings either when I was a teenager, Teresa, because we're not taught.
We're not taught.
And if you think about it, most of the time you're taught to hide them, your emotions and your feelings, and not to talk about them. Kids are seen and not heard. So nobody cared about what you were feeling or what was going on. You had to follow the line. I just feel like it's amped up a bit more, and everything is, this whole like cancel culture, everything is an affront. Oh, you hurt my feelings. Well, how? Let's talk this through. Like, I'm allowed to have an opinion that isn't yours and not hurt your feelings, right? Why are you so attached? And again, I'm going to say this is like where we have to re-educate ourselves on
All of this.
teaching our
Being
giving people the freedom to actually feel and express from a very young age. And I know that sometimes I was talking to somebody not that long ago. We're talking about children because they've got, a few people with very young children. And it's like, oh, just wait till they start talking. And it's like, why? And I'm like, isn't that amazing that they're so curious? And it's like, oh, it's so annoying. And I'm like, why? Don't you want to be like,
a lot of people don't want to be bothered. They don't know the answer. So it's easier to tell the kid to shut up. Or I got told, why are you always asking so many questions?
I know.
But in reality, it's like, why didn't you know the answers? It should have been what had come out, or I don't know. I'll go and find out.
Or let's go look it up together so they learn how to start to find things. It's like, you know what? I'm not 100% sure either. So let's go look it up. And then you're starting to teach them how to find the answer, what they want. There's so a really,
right?
Yeah. And it can become a game. It's like, okay, what are we going to talk about today? What do you want to know today?
Yeah, no, but the problem is there's so much misinformation out there. You don't know it's total BS. You go look it up. So I know somebody right now, she keeps saying to her son, do the research. Well, he's doing the research and he's using certain search engines that are giving out misinformation. So it's just confirming his bias that there's nothing wrong with the job. Yeah. So we have to watch where we're getting our information from too, right?
Yes. But that's some part of it. You don't go with one thing. You got to go dig. And often the right answer isn't on page 1. It's on page maybe 54 of the search engine, right? Because there's a lot of crap that gets pushed first.
Yeah. So I was talking, somebody posted something on Facebook yesterday about the thymus and about it creates T cells. And I'm like, right on, because our thymus is basically where it's associated with our immune system. And when you tap your thymus, you can actually start bringing up your immune system. That's a Donna Eden technique. Anyways, and I'm reading through and I'm going, good for her. She posted this and I'm reading the article. And then it switches to Patrick decided he was homosexual and came out because of stuff of his thymus. And I'm like, wait a minute. So now you've got to be, for you to be healthy, you have to be homosexual. And I'm like, and I questioned her, like, why are you posting this? Like, did you read your own article? Like, you're giving the wrong information. The thymus does not decide your sexuality. Anyways, and then I asked just point blank, are you bisexual? Are you gay? Oh, no, she insisted that I knew that her sister insisted that I knew that she was heterosexual. And it's like, and then I get called the homophobe. And I'm like, just a minute. So you don't mind promoting all this stuff, but you want everybody to know you're straight. Why don't people start promoting what they believe in instead of what everybody else tells them to believe in? I didn't back down off of this. And which, I pick and choose. I don't get into it too many times with people, but when you post something really stupid, I'm going to call you on it. Another article that happened, I think I've talked about this, was in the UK with all this adrenochrome. So I looked up and it said new science. So this is when we're doing our own research. New science says adrenaline is not a real thing, that it doesn't help give you superhuman strength. So they're trying to discredit what adrenaline is. So when the truth comes out about the adrenochrome, oh, see, it doesn't matter. So it's kind of like, well, why do you want to know about what's going on with the election? You're ruining democracy. So it's kind of the same kind of manipulations and inversions. So we do have to be careful when we are looking for information. And what I was going to say with this is why it's always important that we trust ourselves.
Yes.
Totally. Right.
Absolutely. And I this is, really almost a part 2 to Patty and my discussion, because discernment is important. And I think sometimes we just need to turn off even the truthers, and because they've got a lot of misinformation too. We've got to trust ourselves first, and that build that relationship with self. Like I know that's going to be your next focus is relationship building. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, the first relationship we have to build is with ourselves. Because if you don't know yourself, you can't do anything. You're not going to be able to build a healthy relationship because you don't know exactly what you need when you don't know you.
And this is what my whole book is about, ending global loneliness, because people are lonely for themselves. And when you know how to be friends with yourself, and you know how to be there for yourself, how to talk to yourself, how to believe in yourself, how to build yourself up. Other people are bonuses in your life, but you don't need them to make you whole anymore.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what we're going back to is really understanding. And now when we're looking, I didn't put this in my book, at least I don't think it's in there, as sometimes I'll go and I look at my book and I think, I wrote that? Wow. Because I haven't read it in a while. But is understanding the morality and the integrity. So you're talking about discernment. We need to know to discern, are we coming from a good place? Is our behavior acceptable to yourself, but is it causing anybody else any harm? And understanding what integrity is, what our morality is all about, because that's what they're really trying to take us from. We talked about that with Pamela, with the Toronto Protocol, where they basically want everybody to be, they want their spirit to be divorced from morality. Because morality is basically what helps you have faith in yourself and trust yourself and believe in yourself, is having a strong moral foundation. You know right from wrong. You know you're not going to take something from somebody that's not yours. You're not going to live in shame because you know you did something you shouldn't have done. But that whole protocol that back in the 60s, that's what they started talking about, was we have to divorce people from morality. So basically that's how they're breaking people away from the spirit, because a lot of this is about a spiritual, we know that, right? It's a spiritual war.
It's spiritual war. And yeah, it's a war for your mind and your soul. That's it. And you can see it plain as day. You can see it plain as day. And I actually sometimes have to shake my head. And I think some of my frustration comes from this. It's like, how can you not see the bullshit that's getting pumped out there? It's like, it's so heavy and so deep. You can smell it through the television. Like, I'm sorry. It's just bad.
And some people are still caught up in so much fear. So they say don't be in fear, but some people are so afraid of the truth because maybe they were terrified when they were children, because they were told you're going to believe in A, B, C, D, and E. We are a whatever family, and this is what we believe in. So they didn't dare go against maybe people that their elders or whoever they were associated with, whether older siblings, because they knew they had to toe the line or they would be in trouble. So that can still come from that patriarchal, the hierarchy system that we're in, right? That we do this because of we are this, instead of I am me. I'm going to do what I think is right for me and not cause harm to other people.
Yes. Well, and that's why I get, that whole collective thing. You can't be part of a collective until you can be an individual.
Totally.
And that's really key. You cannot be part of a collective unless you're an individual. Otherwise, you are a sheep. You're part of the herd. You're not an individual, because you can still be part of a group but have your own identity and own thoughts and feelings, and you don't have to agree with everything that group, your collective, is believes and thinks. And you can pick and choose, and it's okay, because we do need to be individuals. And anybody who thinks that you have to agree with everything also isn't secure in their own infallibility too. It's like we all have to give people that space to be individuals, because we're all coming from a different place and a different way of thinking and different gifts and tools.
It's interesting. We talked about what you need to know, but I like where you and I are going with this conversation, because we originally had talked about that. It was about what was going on in the world. When is this going to be over? It was about external things, but what we need to know is all internal for where we are at right now. So I love where this is going, that we're not, who cares what's going on out there? We'll know when we know. We don't like maybe how things have been corrupted or reversed or inverted, and things are changing. There's a lot of things coming out that they're changing, but I love the fact that I can look at different people's comments. I love the fact that I looked at different people's posts. I'm starting to know, instead of me having to go in and do all the research myself, I'm starting to know, yeah, you're getting it from everybody else, but at least I'm starting to see, I can go in here and just cherry pick and take certain information from this person, and I can go look at this person. Do you know how many truthers are out there that certain people are only following maybe 5 of them, but there's probably hundreds of them out there. So expand your knowledge. But what I'm learning, I'll listen to some people and I learn about astrology. Even though I know a lot about astrology, I know they lied about astrology. And even though I have a certain understanding of it, there's more information that's going to come out. So I'm not attached to any school of study, or same as numerology, gematria, any of that kind of stuff. I know nothing is 100% truthful as it's presented at this point, but at least I've got a basis in all of these conversations, right? It was funny.
Yeah, and I think,
go ahead.
So I was going to say the key is not holding on too tight to those, and realize that as we evolve, more and more of the truth will come out. And so the knowledge on all of those things is going to increase. And some of the things are wrong, and some of them may be right, because they mix truth with fiction and
always
suck you in. So because they do know we have intuition. So if it's all bullshit, we're gonna know. But if there's some truth in there, it gets you hooked and then they can
You might buy
manipulate.
you might buy the
Yeah.
dishonest piece, right?
Yes.
So that I really like that. I love all the truthers that are out there. I don't have one that I dislike. I don't look at them. I don't put any more value into them as anybody else, because there's going to be more people that come through. Like, I didn't know about Linda until recently, but that doesn't mean she didn't exist years ago out on a channel and was talking. But because it's just new to me doesn't mean it's new information. It's information that's been there that is becoming visible in my view.
Well, and I think you actually find people at the right time for when you're ready for them too. And so they just kind of pop up.
Yes. But that also could be your AI programming you, because you're asking about something, and then all of a sudden it shows up. So I'll give a good example of that is the Celtic sea salt. I was looking at it on Amazon, and then I went and looked at some of the local stores just online, and I saw it was carried in some of the local stores. So I didn't buy it from Amazon. Next thing you know, all these different salts are coming up. So are those my thoughts, or is it AI? So it's not just that, oh, look at me, this is just happened to land in my lap. It's like, yeah, they're trying to program you. So we still have to be discerning enough to know that this thing in front of me, it works for me.
Well, I don't know how I found Linda. I think it might have been through you. You mentioned her, or somebody mentioned her, and I looked her up. Or was she on somebody's show? And it was just like, oh, okay. Then she was not coming up for me.
Alexander Quinn. She was on with, I showed you that one, which is, somebody probably showed it to me, right? But she was on with Alexander Quinn. And I showed you one or two of them, and you watched part 1 and 2. And it's like, interesting. And then I think she came up again and you shared it back. And
yeah. And then the ones, that new one, because you told me about the one she did a couple weeks ago. And then I was like, oh, did you see the one she just did? And then on Sunday we watched it. And
so as far as I'm concerned, we all are, right?
Hey, and guess what? And I said this to Sandy, because she says it's all going to happen like now. Actually, we are in she's like the 2 weeks between now and the 28th. So we're in that 2 weeks. And we're supposed to start to see the light codes. And I'm like, well, I guess we'll know if she's bullshit or not. If she's shitting us, because she put a timeline to it. So, and I'm open to it. I'm hoping she's absolutely right. But at the same time, healthy skepticism, because we've been so deceived in so many ways.
But we have to watch our skepticism, because we can shape the outcomes. And this is the problem with intuition, because once somebody comes out and says something publicly, now it's in the consciousness field. Other people can manipulate it if they don't want that to happen. So just because somebody says something's going to happen and it doesn't happen the exact way they said, doesn't mean they're wrong. It means something can be manipulated.
Yeah.
Right.
No, fair enough. And I actually had time marked where she talked about how to bring the light codes in. I'm going there, and I'll be doing it myself, because I did mark it down and I have to get back to it, but I just haven't had time. I was busy the last couple of days. And but it's fascinating. It really is fascinating. And I do like her. She makes a lot of sense. She resonates. But
she's talking a lot of things that a lot of us talk about. And I like how she talked about, so bringing in the energy, calling in the solar codes that are coming in. She talks about that, but she also talks about deleting what no longer works for us. So some of the quantum energetics courses that I've taken, they do the same thing. So you bring in the new, but you also take out the old to make room for the new to come in. Yep. So there's that energy exchange again, the give and take. So I'm bringing in new. I don't need these anymore. Maybe this form of thinking no longer serves me. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. So it's an interesting time. But while all the stuff is going on outside, we still have the chance to be bringing our best game to the table, upping our abilities, knowing what's coming in. So I'm watching certain truthers for certain things. Maybe they know about Linda. Maybe they're looking at the light codes. Maybe they're not. I don't know. I don't care. I just know I'm going to do what I think is right. And that's what I hope everybody kind of has the faith in themselves, that they know that you do what is right for you.
Yes. Yes. And that's the key and that's the knowing ourselves, right? So needing to know the thing, the needing to know, we need to know ourselves. And that is going to guide us really through whatever is coming. And
you said something interesting yesterday. Do you remember what you said to me near the end of our conversation about what you think is happening right now? People are standing up, and you don't have to have a big name behind you to stand up and do what you think is right, or to share your skills, or to be able to share a talent you have, or a knowing you have, or a solution that you have, that you know something, you can do something a certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let you finish it if you remember what you said. But
I said that I think we'll be surprised at who ends up stepping up or being asked up to lead things. It won't be the big names necessarily. I think that they are watching everyone, and people will get tapped on the shoulder. And it doesn't mean that even people who are on YouTube, it could be you on the in the chats. Like, I think it's being monitored to see where people's hearts and heads and where they're at and where their skills are, because guess what, they can actually figure that out too.
You're trying to intuitively know so many things.
Anybody here could get tapped on the shoulder and say, hey, listen, you know what, I think you'd be good at this. Would you want to join and start working in this? I think that people will get tapped on the shoulder.
I think so too. And it's interesting. I'm working with a woman. She works in the school board. I won't say what her role is. We'll say what her role is. She's a counselor, but she's white. So she's in a poor neighborhood. So they all tell her not to trust her because she's white, right? So it's just, she doesn't care. It's just kind of funny that no matter where we are, everybody's got their biases and their hardships and the things to overcome. But she's of the opinion that when all this stuff happens with the jab, she's going to be helping the orphan children, because there's going to be a lot of children that are without parents. And she goes, I have a feeling, she goes, I've known this since I was a teenager. She already knows what she's going to do. And then I have certain materials that I have ready. And I said, I have a feeling you and I are going to work on certain things. I'm not going to be the one changing the diapers every day and getting the meals organized and things like that.
Come on, Sandy, you're so much fun to do.
But you can set it up in such a way that instead of having people come in and doing a background check, you actually put the papers in front of them. These are the 5 types of abuse and neglect. I want you to acknowledge that you understand this, and you're signing that you will never do that, any of these things to these children. And if people can't sign in front, instead of asking for forgiveness for something you did that you shouldn't have, asked for permission, and we're going to change the energy. So we're going to be able to find out who is qualified and who's got the right energy and who does not. And I don't take any shit from kids either. I'm not saying I do, but I don't do it like you'll do it respectfully, right? No, we're not doing that. We're doing this, and this is why. I'm not saying what I'm talking about fits every mold of every child. But the idea is that people are changing their energy around and how they're looking at this. They're changing things around and knowing that I am going to be called. She doesn't like the thought of children losing their parents. Right. But we've got to stop all these orphanages and all these places where so much abuse happens and trafficking happens and things like that. We've got to acknowledge that this is where they are actually doing the farming, the fishing these kids out of these places.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Right? Yeah, and we will. We all have a role, and I think that everybody's being, somewhat like watched to see where you can fit in the new society and what role you can take.
Or even ask yourself, go up and say, beloved creator, whatever your term is, please show me how I can be of service to you, to divine service, to divine creation. Show me how I can be service to creation, and see what happens, right? Because this need to know, if we knew everything that was going to be happening, we'd be bored out of our minds. And I used to say that financial planning, you work, you get a house, you get married, you have children, you have 1.2 kids, 3.4 dogs, you golf, you retire, you golf some more, you go to restaurants, you maybe travel, you go to a nursing home, and you die. Boring.
Like that's fun. Come on, let's all sign up for that.
That's the plan for a lot of people. And it's like, no, that's what you're fed as the illusion of reality and the marker that you're trying to hit. And again, that Toronto protocol, it talked about having a life of leisure, was that it wanted to convince everybody to do that was your status. The leisure in your life was your status, instead of saying, no, I'm here to serve a purpose. I'm here to do something great. Cannot remember who said this, but I read it recently. You have no business dying before you've done something great on this planet. And that's like, so I think we're really changing how we're holding ourselves accountable to be our best selves. It's not about holding anybody else accountable, but what do you want to do? How do you want to make a difference in the world? If you don't know, then ask to be shown, because you are going to be shown. And as you're saying, Betty, everything that comes up, you talk about something, within a day or two, it hits you.
Yep.
Good or bad. So you've had a few things happen, like, the need to know. And then all of a sudden it's like, I need to know. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not what we said yesterday, but it was a total reversal on you, almost, what the energies did. And you worked through it, of course, right? But it's almost a reversal. And we have to watch and see, this is how it happens. We think about it and it comes in.
And sometimes I think it's a good thing, because that actually, because I can connect with people who are going through it. Maybe not just, it's like, okay, you know what? You're going to talk about it from a place of knowing. Feeling just recent.
Totally. But we have to make sure we don't stay down. And I can't stress that enough in this energy. If you're really feeling down, get somebody, talk to somebody, do whatever you feel is appropriate for you to do. But if you stay in that dark energy, the darkness, the scutters start coming around your walls. You start looking up and you think you see something there, but when you look at it, it's not there. These energies are hungry, they're starving. And if you're low hanging fruit, they're coming for you.
Oh, yes, 100%. And I actually, because we're just over an hour, Sandy, and I know you've got another appointment after this. But I wanted to say, Jen, thank you. She says, her name, J Ven, her name is Jen. So she wants to be called Jen, not J Ven. And I know I've done it too. Sorry.
I did too, because I wasn't sure. So
yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
And thank you because I love that you feel comfortable in this group. And then Robin Collins is saying she's just joined. And what did she say? I love you both. Love you too. And thank you for the shows that you do. She loves them all. Thank you, Robin. I actually, and good morning, Noletta. We had a few late joiners, but you can back this up. Just throw the thing back and you go back to the beginning.
This is part of the change that's happening. So it's not about Betty and I, it's about everybody coming in and bringing everybody up at the same time. And these are going to be the energies that change because the competition, I think, is going to start falling away. It needs to fall away because it brings out some ugliness in people that are willing to climb over somebody else to get ahead. But this is the way everybody's going to be confident. And you might, if you're like me, if somebody in 2012, I was financial planning and I had an advisor in the office next to me. She asked me my birth date. I tell her my birth date and she goes, "You're going to be writing a book." And I go, "Yeah, right. I write in bullet form, like bullet point form, right?" Next month, she goes, "Guess what?" And I go, "What?" She goes, "You're writing a book." And I'm not writing a book. I fought that thing in speaking out the way I am now. I fought this because I was I had a quiet little happy life. But it's like, no, sometimes when you realize you start to see things for what they are. And next thing you know, you just move yourself forward. And next thing you know, you call it July, 16th, 2021. And look at you now. That's the beauty of not being held to any one thing, that you have to be one thing when you grow up, or you have to follow a discipline. Follow your heart.
Yep.
Totally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
thanks, James.
Thanks, James. And I think, well, it's Fabulous Friday with Sandy and Betty is coming to an end, but it's going to continue to be fabulous. We just won't be live anymore because we'll have other things.
Yes. So how do you want to make your Friday fabulous? What do you want to see in the world that's really inspires your heart? Keep that thought in your heart if you can, and in your mind.
Yeah. And actually, I would really want to know what you guys want to hear us talk about. I am actually seriously contemplating doing one live a week on my own as well. Just figuring out exactly what I want to talk about, but sometimes it just comes. And but I want to know what you're interested in too. So is it something Patty and I, Sandy and I, or me myself can do? Put it in the comments, put it in the live chat. Actually, not in the live chat, put it in the comments underneath because it's easier to get back to these. I don't know where they go. I can look at them right after, and I scroll through them right after to catch everything in case I missed it as it was popping up and we're talking. But the comments are there forever. And if you have stuff you would like to talk about or us to talk about, put it down there. Right? This is for all of us.
Exactly, Jen. So what you're drawn to as a child, you might have some interesting information about yourself or something that you knew you really liked doing. It might give you a hint to what you're going to be doing when you're older. But this is the whole education system needs to change so that the children are encouraged to go with their dreams. Another thing I'm told is happening was that you told me, Betty, that the babies are scheduling when the babies are going to be born in the hospital, not the natural time. So now you can't use the birth chart to find out how their planets are lined up. So there's a lot of nefarious stuff going on right now because people can use the birth chart to be able to tell what the child's natural strengths are going to be based on the planetary alignment, and where they maybe don't have a planet in a certain house or under a certain zodiac that they might need a little help. So we do this the hard way for sure. Right. Thank you. Thanks, Amber. Thank you, everybody. This has been so much fun. It always is. I'm so grateful for all of you being here, and we've got this.
We do. And this is this is a fantastic group. I mean, and I love you feel safe here. And you know what? I feel safe here. Yeah. This group makes me feel safe. I wasn't crazy excited about being on YouTube and all that stuff and putting yourself out there. But the group that we've gotten together, it feels like you guys feel like family.
Yes.
I don't know what you look like, and I don't know where you are. Well, some of I know where you are, but
Can
you're my
we
family.
also say wear the armor of God in the next couple of weeks? Trust that you are connected to all that is, because if this is going to be the light show that we're being told it's going to be, you might have your daylight scared out of you, but just trust you're here for a reason. Trust you're here, that you're going to come through this, and there's going to be something amazing on the other side.
And half the battle is knowing it's coming. If you didn't know it was coming and you started to feel and see, so knowing, oh yeah, that's what Sandy and Betty talked about. Maybe I should go look at Linda McGillis, good McGillis, and check out her videos and see what she says about it. Because hey, she's got some interesting information.
I posted it recently on my Facebook, maybe a couple of days ago. I don't know, but maybe we'll put it under the YouTube in the description box. We'll put the link too if you want, because
Sure.
people are going to get more from her than what Betty and I are describing. Like, we're doing our best to share what she's talking about, but obviously you'd get more from her.
I'll put the link to the actual channel so you can pick and choose. There's no one video, I would say, except maybe those last few. That the shorter ones are the ones where she really goes into what's happening in the next few days. But she talks about more in the long ones. I think she did 2 days ago, where she talked about how you can bring in the light codes in about, I think it's it's downstairs, about an hour and 30 minutes in. It's about an hour and 30 minutes in.
They can use their own discernment, decide what they want to know, and you know what I mean? They'll be, yes. Okay.
I'll pop it in there as soon as we're done, and I can go into my channel and check it all out. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. I love you all. I'm giving you big hugs everywhere. And until next week, and I'll let you know when I decide to go live. It'll be on my announcements, so that the link is there, so there's no fuckery. And maybe someone will show up and talk to me.
Let me know when you're going to do yours or whatever, because I'll post the announcements for yours as well on my different channels. And I know you don't want to be big. You're kind of torn between being seen and not being seen.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. Nothing bad is going to happen to any of us.
No.
You'll be the most vocal out of anybody that I know.
Huh?
I'm probably the most vocal out of anybody I know by like calling out the bullshit and stuff like that. Like just straight up, but doesn't mean anybody else has to do it either. Everybody does what feels right. But you're a natural, Betty.
You know, and you're right. I do struggle between that. And I love this because it feels like family. It feels really close. And I
put the protection on yourself that only asks for people who have your best interest in heart, that they find you. Put it in your prayers before you start your shows and things like that's for everybody, whatever we do, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's all of us, all of you guys too. Totally. Whatever you do every day, we've got to put that protection. It's actually become a ritual for me, day and night, before I go to bed and when I wake up in the morning.
There you go.
And it's important. And any day you forget, that's the kind of day I had on Monday, because I forgot to put it on.
So put it on for 30 days going forward, or put it on like, let's say your prayer and it's activated for 30 days. So if you miss a day, that you're not going to have a bad day. There's all kinds of things you can do. If you can think it and you can express it and you can share it with your own voice, the energy is going to get it. If it's sincere, right? Okay, everybody, take good care.
Bye, guys. See you soon.